What's going on, everybody? Gem Mint back again with another recent reads. I've been on a little bit of a Bendis kick lately. I just recently reviewed New Avengers Omnibus Volume 1 by Bendis and the Secret Invasion Omnibus. I knew I had this Siege OHC laying around and that he wrote that and it tied into this whole arc as well. So I figured, what the hell, I'll give it a quick read and review and go through it with you guys. So it's going to be spoilery. This is going to be a deep dive, overhead shots, going through this from front to back. Before I do it, once again, I want to thank Dynamite Entertainment for sponsoring this video. Make sure to check out their Indiegogo campaign for the Death of Elvira. They've already crowdfunded almost $50,000 with over 600 backers, and they still have about a week and a half left. It's a 40-page graphic novel that has multiple covers and different stretch goals. Make sure to check out the Indiegogo campaign. I'm going to put the link in the description and in the pinned comment. And with that being said, let's jump into Siege. Alright guys, so a closer look at the dust jacket for Siege. We have the Trinity on the cover. This is a traditional Marvel oversized hardcover, what we call an OHC, so that's the spine you have. And then here's the back. This had a $40 cover price. It collects Siege the Cabal, Siege Prologue, and then the mini-series or event Siege 1 through 4. And then it has the New Avengers tie-ins, issues 61 through 64, New Avengers finale, which is kind of like what they did with Avengers Disassembled, and Dark Avengers 13 through 16 with some Siege 1 director's cut material. The inside of the dust jacket does talk about the events leading up to Siege, which this does take place quite a little bit after Secret Invasion. We have a biography on the creative team here, which is led by writer Brian Michael Bendis. And here we have the hardcover itself, nice faux leather black with the kind of teal baby blue embossed foil logos. Looks pretty nice. All right, here's the cover here. We have Ares. So recently I've done reviews of the Secret Invasion Omnibus and then New Avengers by Bendis. I went out of order. If you reverse it, watch it in order. This would come sometime after Secret Invasion. This is going to introduce the Cabal, which is kind of like the bad guy version of the Illuminati, led by Norman Osborn. This was so well written. So a lot of this OHC is kind of a letdown. However, the first 5 issues, I mean the prologue and then the 4-issue series, were great. Him talking to this person, and just, you know it's the Green Goblin he's talking to, but the kind of reveal at the end, you always know what to say. Norman Osborn saying to the Green Goblin mask. I mean, that's well written, man. That one hit. Norman Osborn is the head of the New Avengers. He is the also the Iron Patriot, so he's essentially the Tony Stark. And here's his Cabal with Loki, with Doom. He brings on Taskmaster. It's nice to see the villain banter and how they interact with each other as Norman is trying to put together this whole thing. So this is all foreshadowing the end of the book. Something gets called in by Norman Osborn to take out Doom. We don't know what it is. We'll see it later. It's a big part of the story, so we'll get to it. Come to find out that was a Doom bot, and it releases this swarm of things. So the Cabal prologue was great. Now we can see Norman Osborn's New Avengers makes up kind of different versions of what we had. We have Daken as Wolverine. The Sentry is on the team. He's kind of the Iron Man, like I said. Miss Marvel's there in a different costume. Hawkeye is actually Bullseye as Hawkeye. And Sentry doing his, patented ripping something in half. So at the end of the day, Norman Osborn wants to take out Asgard, which at this point has been relocated, hovering like 12 miles above Oklahoma. Norman Osborn wants to invade, get them out of there. He's working behind the scenes with Loki. And they think Thor is off-world. They think that Asgard is vulnerable. Explaining kind of to the reader and to Norman Osborn the 9 realms, similar to how they did in the Thor movie. So the whole kind of way this was set off, the whole plan with Loki and Norman Osborn is, how are we going to get the United States government to allow the Avengers to attack Asgard? And basically they have to do the same thing that caused Civil War, have this kind of Asgardian incident that causes death and destruction that we can use as an excuse to invade them. So they use Volstagg, is that how you pronounce it? To basically fight something, and media flips it to make it look like he's attacking humans. So that's a way that Norman Osborn, he does a good job of being able to like rally in his troops. I mean, this is definitely like an extension of the Thunderbolts. It's almost like a Suicide Squad. Like nobody really wants to be there, but he has something on all of them. Matt Gargan, Scorpion, and he convinces them that this assault on Asgard, if they do this for him, that he'll let them go out of their contract. They won't have to be a part of his Avengers team. Now, what they didn't know is that Tony Stark is licking his wounds from the last battle in Asgard, and Thor is treating him as Donald Blake. They thought Thor was off-world, so they kind of run into a little surprise when they run up on Asgard, and Thor is there to battle him. Now, at the end of each issue, they have kind of like a bonus little like transcript, but they're all a little bit different. This one is a conversation between Norman Osborn, Miss Marvel, Ares, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, which is Bullseye and Matt Gargan, and Victoria Hand. I read them all. It was nice to see kind of him getting everybody on board with this invasion of Asgard, how it's a threat to not only Oklahoma, but to the country and this and that. And the Sentry stuff is probably the saving grace of this whole book, especially in the tie-ins, which at the end are kind of lacking a little bit. So here we have Ares fighting the current ruler of Asgard. Now, we're told that it was Loki, but it was really Balder, right, who is in charge of things. That was just Loki manipulating Norman Osborn, or what Norman used to manipulate the new Avengers. So Captain America, he's back from the dead because, of course, it's post-Civil War, it's post-Secret Invasion, and he is going to stand up against Norman Osborn's new Avengers because, remember, they're the ones that are backed by S.H.I.E.L.D. and by the government. Like, the new Avengers are the good guys with Norman Osborn and them. But this is basically the real Avengers, forming once again to take down this fake new Avengers. Sentry's the big guns gets brought in to fight Ares, and he rips Ares in half. He rips him in half like She-Hulk rips Vision in half. I thought that was a cool callback to the Avengers. I want to say finale or maybe even Disassembled. But, this is very much about Sentry. We'll get more to him. This is also Bucky passing the torch of Cap back to Steve Rogers here, so he could be Cap one last time again. Daken's encounter with Thor leaves him pretty much all the way toasty, electrified. And then we end with Captain America. I love this scene, the S.H.I.E.L.D. and Iron Patriot's reflection of Captain America and the Avengers trying to stop Norman Osborn from invading Asgard. This one had another kind of transcript at the end. This was Nick Fury and his Secret Warriors, getting them on board, I guess telling them this is the real deal battle that's about to go down. They're calling out everybody, all hands on deck, to help take down Norman Osborn as we get into issue 3. And that's kind of one of the complaints about this. It's only 4 issues, so it does move pretty fast. Nice big art on this double-page spread as we're feeling very Avengers-ish. So yeah, it's only 4 issues, so it's a really big thing, but it feels a little bit rushed. And the tie-ins at the end, I don't really feel like help it. I don't think it would help to read the tie-ins in between these. Like, I agree with what I've seen as far as criticisms on the mapping, having it 1 through 4, then the tie-ins. But the tie-ins drag on, and I don't feel like add enough to the main story. But it's still a good story. You can see a lot of action here, as we have a couple of these scenes that are these big battle royales between everyone who's on this side or on that side. Almost like another Civil War. But this time it's to right the wrongs, right? Norman Osborn shouldn't be in charge of the Avengers with these criminals posing as heroes. So here we have Sentry turning into Void. We get some more revelations on that. Turns out, obviously, there is no Void. It's just him with, like, split personalities. So you have Bob, you have Sentry, and then you have the Void who takes over here. So what happens here at the end of issue 3 is that when Norman Osborn's losing, he puts out the call to Sentry and says, yo, we're losing, do it. And that was the call for him to just take down Asgard completely. They were losing the battle, just take the whole thing down. And that's the big kind of like, boom, epic moment of this run. Besides the very next scene when they unmask Iron Patriot and he's literally got goblin makeup painted on his face, looking like a lunatic. And this is where the government even agrees, okay, maybe Norman Osborn isn't the good guy here. Problem is they still got to deal with Sentry as the Void. And Norman Osborn is basically saying, hey, I was the only one holding him back from you guys. I was the only one that understood him, showed him compassion, and he'll listen to me. Here we have Maria Hill kind of reporting in the events of the Battle of Asgard to S.H.I.E.L.D. as it's happening in her perspective, which was pretty cool, and kind of giving you these pictures as well. But the updates, it's as we were reading it in the comics, so that was a nice touch. You know, it kind of reminds me of what Hickman started with Hoxpox and stuff, which still happens now, with that kind of like debriefing textbook page type of thing. Anyway, we're jumping into the last issue of Siege, and it's this big battle between Void and the real new Avengers. Now, Loki has a nice redemption arc here as well. He didn't want to see Asgard fall. He just didn't want to see Balder running the show there. He really wanted to rule Asgard. I'm not sure that he knew Thor was even posing as Donald Blake. So he basically prays to Odin to give the heroes the strength to fight Sentry. And that does work for a little bit. Again, big epic battle. So Bendis, it feels very big like how Bendis started off with New Avengers here. And a lot of these fight scenes. Here's Thor taking Loki's body with him to do a proper burial after the battle, after defeating Sentry. The watchtower that he has above the Avengers Tower disappears. We see Loki's body off into the sun. Obviously, he doesn't stay dead. Now, Asgard being destroyed, I liked how the watchtower for Asgard, where Heimdall resides, that instead now replaces Sentry's watchtower on top of the Avengers Tower. And then we have a brand new day. Captain America is basically the new Nick Fury. And you have your new Avengers who are looking like the old Avengers. Now, like I said, new Avengers, they're tie-ins. I guess they were released during this issue. And there were other titles going on as well, like Secret Avengers, Dark Avengers, which really helps to be reading all that stuff. But the tie-ins, like I said, you're going back into the middle of the event now, which is a little bit jarring if you're reading it this way. Did not dig this whole kind of convoy issue with Spider-Woman and Spider-Man. I wasn't really digging the way that they wrote Spider-Man, any of these kind of ape villains and all this stuff. I was not digging these backups. It's these first two issues of New Avengers, and then it goes into a different arc. So issue 62 will be the second one here. They're basically able to guerrilla Grodd style use mind control to have Spider-Woman fight Spider-Man. And what was really confusing about some of these tie-ins, there's this arc with the villain, the Hood, whose name is Parker. But it's not Peter Parker's, but they keep calling his name, and it's like, I don't know. The tie-ins definitely just not feel strong, especially after reading New Avengers and even Secret Invasion, giving us more Luke Cage stuff at this point. You know, he's been married, and they've had a child together. Always liked the Luke Cage, Jessica Jones interactions. They were great. He's flashing back to them as he's fighting Matt Gargan, Venom, who's an Avenger at this time. The Clint Barton stuff with Bobby, with Mockingbird, them fighting to be together as well. And then we get more Sentry stuff. So we're going to get a lot more Sentry revelations in the tie-ins as well. Here's the Hood. Here's Parker with Norman Osborn. I'm trying to even remember what this was all about. I mean, they were basically the reinforcements for the New Avengers for Osborn's team during the Battle of Asgard. See, this is all before Asgard has fell still. With Madam Mask, again, all that kind of stuff, it just lost me a little bit. Didn't care, wasn't interesting. Going into New Avengers finale, I don't feel like it hit as hard as the Avengers finale did after issue, 503 or what have you. But this is right at the fall of Asgard. I like how Luke Cage checks in with his wife as a good husband. That's a good move there. So this is basically the Avengers team that goes up against Norman's team. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Luke Cage. You have Bucky as Cap, Spider-Woman, Miss Marvel. I'm not sure who that is back there. Yeah, so this is them kind of at the end of the arc with Norman Osborn defeated. What do we do now? Then it flashes through kind of recapping Bendis' whole run, looking at big epic fights throughout the run, because there were a lot of these big double-page spread, multiple character, poster-like pages during Bendis' run. So I kind of like the end here, recapping everything and showing these different scenes for the nice happy ending. So Dark Avengers is where we get all that Sentry stuff that I mentioned. I haven't read Dark Avengers leading into this. I feel like I'm missing out a little bit, but it shows us kind of Norman Osborn's relationship with Bob, and how he's the only one that can control him and kind of get him to do what he wants to do. We get his wife's perspective of her not really understanding what he is this whole time, what the void is, and what's the origin of his powers. We see when Sentry or Robert tries to kill himself to get rid of the void, but can't even do that by flying into the sun. This was crazy here. They make a plan to kill Bobby's wife. I guess Norman looks at her like a weak spot for him, or she's throwing a wrench in his whole plan, so they kill her off, and it's really crazy how he gets Bullseye to do it. First, we see how Norman Osborn stops Sentry kind of going crazy and wanting to just destroy everything, and you see right here how he's able to manipulate him. This is when Norman Osborn gives Bullseye the word. He dresses up like Hawkeye, and instead of rescuing her like he says he's doing, he actually kidnaps her. Now, this is flashing back to the Cabal issue 1, right? And we see that it's the Void that was called through to attack Doctor Doom on behalf of Norman Osborn. So that's his secret weapon. That's literally what he calls him. And here's Hawkeye kind of trying to cut that last little piece of humanity out from him. And the things that Bullseye says to his wife is really crazy, man. He really messes with her mentally before he kills her, chokes her to death, and throws her in the ocean. So crazy, man. He kind of says like, "You're just some regular looking girl. This guy can get anyone he wants. He's a literal god." He comes back literally after killing her, just saying, "Hey, man, she was tired of everything and just ended it all." And tries to convince him that she committed suicide. That was a crazy move by Bullseye, man. He just gave 0 Fs. So the thing with Norman Osborn, man, I think Bendis did a really good job taking kind of like a realistic attitude towards these concepts of like, no one's really right or wrong. And both are right, both are wrong. Like, yeah, Asgard floating over that city, yeah, that is probably dangerous. That is probably not natural or how things should be. And yeah, but again, is it right to invade them? It's kind of, same with Civil War, the Registration Act or what have you. So I really like those concepts here. I thought that was cool how you can kind of see Norman Osborn's point of view. Was he really bad? That's the thing about villains. That's, I think, even mentioned in this book, right, by Spider-Man. Villains don't think they're the bad guys. They think that they're righteous and they have a just cause. So we see Norman Osborn getting locked up at the end here, seeing him talk to this Green Goblin. It's kind of like his Void, really. And that's how it ends. Just Norman Osborn in the cell with Green Goblin still in his mind, still kind of torturing him. And leading to a slew of variants here. So overall, I was a little bit let down with this, mostly because of the tie-ins. Some of the stuff was okay. I did really like the Cabal prologue, and I did like the Siege 1 through 4. It just was kind of like, it didn't feel as exciting after reading the new Avengers. But that's all the bonus material. Let me give you my quick final thoughts and wrap this up. All right, so I guess I kind of gave my final thoughts already, man. I really did like Bendis' Avengers stuff, man. Reading it, going back to that era, it felt fresh. They were doing big things, a lot of great events. This one is kind of like an afterthought, a footnote of his run. I really like Siege, the whole Asgard floating over Oklahoma thing and kind of ending that, destroying Asgard, killing Loki. A lot of big stuff there. The OHC itself feels bogged down, actually, with the tie-ins. I don't think the tie-ins help that much, except for learning some more cool stuff about Sentry and getting a kind of full circle on that character. So overall, I did enjoy it. It just kind of wasn't as action-packed and exciting as like New Avengers was when he first started. So those are my final thoughts. Let me know what you think about Siege in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace.